Good afternoon. Welcome to our behavior management training, and today we will be focusing on implementing rules and regulations. Throughout this presentation, you'll find various resources that will assist you with the implementation of rules and regulations. So let's get started. Laying the foundation. We as instructors are excited to share with our students what we are considered the expert at, which is our content. In a perfect world, we would want to come into a classroom where students are ready and enthusiastic about learning whatever it is we want to share with them. Unfortunately, this is not what you typically get in a traditional classroom setting. The reality of a classroom is we'll have students that are confronted with obstacles, they're faced with challenges. Classroom is the last place they want to be at that time. They're not interested, they're tired, all types of situations happen. And so we have to make sure that we are producing an environment that is conducive to learning. The foundation of success in the learning environment is classroom management. Classroom management, you may ask, what exactly is that? Resources state that it is strategies that you as a teacher use to organize, manage student success, monitor student behavior, and create an overall positive learning environment. All of these components fall under the same umbrella of classroom management. What is classroom organization? You may ask yourself, is the layout of the classroom conducive to learning? What is the layout of my classroom? Is there a seating chart? Is the students seated next to are the students that are seated next to each other able to learn without distractions? Do they distract one another? Do I need to move these students? Am I able to move around and assist students freely? Are we able to move around the classroom safely? These are all things that fall under the category of classroom organization. Content delivery. How clear are you making the content for the various learners in your classroom? Are you highly knowledgeable of the content that you are delivering? Do your students trust you enough to receive the information that you're giving them? Are you excited? Are you engaging? Are your students interested in the way you deliver the content? Management of student success. Are you keeping track of the students' academic progress? Are they falling short? Are they doing well? Are they excelling? Behavior management. This is basically the management of the student's behavior. Are you able to keep track of the student's behavior? Can you relay the information to your administrators? Are you able to have a conference with parents and sit down and give them the information based on the behavior of their child? The positive learning environment. Are you ensuring that students feel safe physically and emotionally? Do they want to raise their hands? Do they feel safe to raise their hands? These are all questions that you can ask yourself when you're trying to maintain a classroom environment. So, implementing the rules and regulations. There are many strategies that can be utilized to strengthen your behavior management skills. Today, we will focus on implementing rules and regulations. We will see what this looks like on various grade levels. So we'll start with the organization. Behavior management really starts with you as an instructor. You are the first partaker of implementing and modeling strategies within your room. Studies have proven that strong organizational skills improve the ability of communicating the rules and regulations to students. Being organized in what you say and how you convey determines how students internalize the information. Children's behavioral regulation and literacy is a text that identifies ways that you can strengthen your organizational skills. So doing things such as printing the rules for the students to visibly see, printing the rules for the students to take home to their parents and go over with their parents so that their parents are familiar with what's expected in the classroom. Pre-posted visuals. These are the things that you can put around your classroom that are going to be constant reminders to the students in a positive way of what's expected of them. Doing all of these things also goes back to the organization. It demonstrates to the students how to stay organized. It gives them an example of what organization really is. Who knows? You may be the first example of organization for that person or for that student. Confidence. This is major. Organization is not your only personal responsibility. In the classroom, you must show confidence. Classroom management is all based upon the confidence of the instructor. Showing self-confidence is crucial when dealing with students. Take a look at this quote. Teachers who feel more confident in the use of effective classroom management may indeed be implementing more effective practices. This comes from a resource that basically points out that most teachers who feel confident about classroom management are the teachers that are implementing it well. They are comfortable in what they're conveying. They know how to implement the rules. They feel confident in following up with the rules. They feel confident with holding students to a standard. You must show confidence to your students or they will not take you seriously. They will find ways to manipulate you and walk all over you. So simply remember this. You must be confident and then show communication. Communication is key. Developing clear rules and expectations is a resource that identifies strategies for communicating the rules. Doing things such as breaking the rules down into small segments, breaking them into categories, placing certain rules in specific categories. This not only makes it easier for the students, but it makes it easy for the organization as a whole. Students can now chunk the information that you're giving them. It helps them keep certain expectations in certain columns. Simplifying the verbiage. You want to make sure that the information that you're giving the students is simple enough for them to understand. The more simpler the verbiage is, the more that they can comprehend, the more likely they will comprehend and retain the information. So you want to make sure that the language is simple and plain. Minimizing the number of rules. This is important. A lot of times we have teachers that want to give a list of 20 rules. Students are not going to be able to effectively remember all 20 of these rules. So you have to kind of generalize the rules so that the students can maintain what you're expecting them to do. This will help them remember the expectations. So, study.com is another resource. It identifies methods of implementing rules and regulations in an article titled Classroom Rules and Procedures. This article basically highlights what should be done from day one. The first day you meet with your students, the things that you want to remember. Verbally state the rules. Give it to them plain verbally as they're reading it, but you want them to hear it verbally from you. Clarify rules and expectations. A lot of times students have questions. They may not understand a certain part, or they may just want clarification. So make sure that the rules are clear and the expectations are clear. Give examples of how rules work. How will they apply? When will they not apply? Use scenarios. These are all effective ways that you could go about implementing the rules from day one. And finally, you wanna follow through with non-compliant students. You wanna make sure that what you said from day one is followed through and the expectation is held. You wanna make sure that those that are not compliant have a consequence. And you want the students that are compliant to see that the students that are not compliant will have to suffer a consequence. This helps keeps the culture of your classroom positive. So, utilizing class projects. Another strategy for implementing the rules, doing it through class projects. You want to use a method that is identified through a resource called project-based teaching. It basically gives you strategies on focusing how to implement dispersing rules and regulations utilizing class projects. This could be done through small group projects. This can be done in individual, independent projects. This can be done in whole group projects. But if you incorporate it into a class project and make it an activity, could be a game, could be a board game, could be a classroom game. If you incorporate it in classroom activities, they comprehend and remember what you're expecting. It also piques their peer learning, their questioning, and curiosity, which is ultimately going to cause relationships to be built within the classroom. Now they're asking questions. Now they're responding to one another. They're interacting. So all of these strategies will work when you incorporate implementing rules and regulations through class projects. So here we have student buy-in. A resource that I came across is called How to Establish Classroom Rules with Your Students. It's basically an article that focuses on strategies that will allow students to help build the list of rules for your classrooms. They help build the list of expectations for the classroom. Student buy-in is a method that can be used on all grade levels. Students basically suggest the rules. They bounce ideas off each other. They have conversation. They determine what may work in the class, what may not work in the class. They determine why it may or may not work in the class. Ultimately, the result is getting the students to participate in building and implementing the rules. Studies have shown that when students engage and participate in rules, in making and setting the expectations, they stick to what they think they have put together. Maintaining compliance. Now that you've built your strategies and you've put them in place, you've developed the students, you've communicated the rules, everybody understands what's expected. Now you go through the process of maintaining what those expectations are. Building these relationships with students is key for maintaining everything that you have expected of them. So building relationships basically gives you a student that will respect you. They respect teachers that they know care about them, want the best for them, have expectations of them. You get a better response from the students when you build these relationships. Even when they're in the wrong, when you go to correct them, because there is a relationship, you get a better response. Maintaining the organization. You want to ensure that what was set and put in place is modeled from day one. You cannot lose momentum. You have to keep it steady. You can't fall short some days and come strong on other days. You have to have a steady momentum of what's expected and the consequences. Finally, maintaining the compliance, you want to provide praise. Students really excel from hearing that they're doing well. This lets their friends know that they're doing well. This lets them know that they're doing well. So a major key in maintaining this compliance is verbally praising the students when they are on track and providing positive energy to your classroom. This is another strategy that is mentioned in a resource called Classroom Management Strategies for Middle School, especially middle school students. They love to hear that they're doing well. Another strategy that is listed is called Maintaining Visibility. Teach Like a Champ is a resource that says it is easy for you to visibly see what students are doing the more students recognize that you can see them. This basically says when they see you looking at them, they know that you can see what they're doing. And this will encourage them to stay on track and do what you've already expected them to do. They're always going to watch and see how you respond and how you react, and if you're even looking. So the more visible you are in the classroom, the more likely they are to stay on track. Finally, you want to build your list of strategies that will give you unique ways to convey and enforce and maintain what you expect in your classroom. This will cause you to have a better learning environment, not just for you, but for every student in your class. A copy of this presentation will be emailed to you. It will be available to you along with an additional list of resources. You want to make sure that from day one, you're making the expectations clear, making them precise, and sticking to what you said.